In 1998, Drs. Osama and Lillian Gaber established Nora's Gift Foundation in memory of their daughter Nora, who was killed in a tragic automobile accident. Nora's legacy did not end with her death. Her organ donations helped several critically ill children and fueled the creation of Nora's Home, an enduring gift to those in need. Always a touching story. We welcome back Nora's Home's Executive Director, Kayla Lehman, and she brought with her Michael Trevino. Welcome. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having us.
Well, so first, let's do some introductions. Michael, tell us about your connection to Nora's Home.
Well, thank you very much for having us. I'm very grateful for that. I guess my introduction is that I was recently elected to the board of directors for Nora's Home. To me, it's a real privilege, and in large measure because I am one of those lucky individuals who was blessed by the gift of a liver. I had been suffering with hepatitis C since probably my years in Vietnam. It turns out that many Vietnam veterans have a high incidence of hepatitis C, and that virus, rather persistent, had been compromising my liver for many, many decades. Fortunately, when I moved to Houston, I found that the care here was outstanding and readily available. So through the doctors at Memorial Hermann, they cured my liver of the hepatitis C, but at the end of the treatment, 48 weeks, not an easy thing to endure, but nonetheless, at the end of that treatment, they determined that I had a small tumor on the surface of my liver, which of course meant that it needed to be ablated, which they did, and then that put me on a liver transplant list. I was on the list for some 9-10 months, waiting for a call, if you will, for those many months with the support of my loving family living here in Houston. And when the call came, November 21st of 2014, we rushed over to the hospital and learned that the liver that was available was a match. And it was a gift. It was a gift from a loving family who lost a 44-year-old daughter. And they had determined, much like the parents of Nora, that her life would not be a loss, but it would rather end up being a gift and helping many people, such as myself. The nice thing about it is that I was very blessed and fortunate. Not only did I have a liver, but I had a loving, supportive family and an extensive network of friends in Houston, all of whom were prepared to help me in any way, shape, or form. And many of the people that come to Nora's Home are people that don't live in Houston. And so they come to Nora's Home and they're able to find the same loving support that they need when they're, in a critical health situation or in recovery or waiting for a donor organ. And they find a place in Nora's Home in a way like an oasis.
Well, that's the amazingly delightful thing. Is just as you say, there are so many people who don't have their families right here with them, and that really does make a difference, doesn't it?
Makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I'm able to track my meds on a day-to-day basis. I have a place to eat. I have a place to sleep, and it's coming to Nora's Home is as close to being in your own home. In many circumstances, probably better than being in your own home because you've got people who know what you're experiencing. You can bring members of your family. You can exchange experiences, if you will, with other people who are in similar and like situations.
The discussions that happen there are quite amazing. I want to share that I've had a very close friend who actually was a donor, and she was from out of town and got to stay. She was one of the fortunate ones who was able to actually stay. And the discussions that happen, it's like teaching each other the language of how do you go through this system. And it's a beautiful facility, Kayla. I mean, it's just,
Thank you.
everything there is just wonderful.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we, again, thank you for having us. Nora's Home opened 2 years ago, and we had a waiting list in 4 months. We're now last week we reached our 10,000th night stay, which is amazing, and we're very proud of that. But the sad thing is we're turning away 5 families for every one that we can house. So we launched a initiative, fundraiser, capital campaign late September in hopes of raising the $6 million to expand to 16 rooms, knowing that we'll still have a waiting list, but at least we'll be able to accommodate more. But to get back to Michael's comments, it is more than a place to lay your head. They walk in the door, they're frightened, they're scared, and as I'm a transplant patient, and very much like Michael, had an amazing support group, good insurance, and the day after my transplant, I talked to someone who was actually sleeping in their car. So they walk in the door, they automatically the common denominator's there, and the hope. If I could say there's one word, it's hope. So you have someone that's thinking they're going to die, and there's the person sitting there who had the liver or the heart, and they're like, oh, you'll be great, and so it inspires them, it motivates them. The testimonies are very powerful. We've heard on it probably, every day we'll hear this place saved my life.
And you do.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not just about the medical care, it's also about the will to survive. And, if you don't have a place to sleep, it's kind of hard to want to keep going.
Right. And I think what happens, and this actually entered my mind, is you hesitate to impose on your family again and again. And I was in Houston, 6 miles from the medical center. So what happens when you have a blue-collar job where you're here, either the caretaker or the patient, your salary stops, you don't have money for daycare, you don't have family, you don't have transportation. So the energy goes to the logistics versus getting well, and many give up. They just say, I can't do this to my family. So you come to Nora's Home, not only do you have a place to stay, you have a free shuttle to the medical center, which if any of you have been to the medical center, that's
a problem.
That's a big cost. But we have a wonderful volunteer opportunity, and I urge your listeners to join us. You can sign up for Chef for a Day, and you can either bring in a meal or cook a meal at home, and I can't tell you the smiles on the faces. So you walk in the door from clinic or transplant department, and there's a hot meal, and that is the heart and soul of the evenings. That's where the families get together, they share stories, they support each other. They become so close, and many times we hear the dynamics are easier than immediate family because they can share.
Sure, you can tell them that you're afraid.
Exactly.
You can't tell that to someone who is looking to you for support.
Right. And we are very aware of the crucial role of a caretaker. Yeah. And the caretaker many times is not only the support before the transplant, but they are crucial for the compliance. So you can have a perfect transplant surgery, but if you don't comply with your meds every day, so Michael and I know we have alarms on twice a day we take our anti-rejection meds. I was an example, post-transplant, was very ill afterwards. I mean, sometimes it doesn't go because of infections. You're so immune suppressed. It's the caretaker that has to be strong. So we have support groups for caretakers, and they finally have a voice, and they can share their concerns with others. We work very closely with the other transplant organizations in the Texas Medical Center. Dr. Bobby Robbins, chairman of the board of the Texas Medical Center, is his mantra is collaboration, and that's what we're doing. We work closely with the Living Bank and Life Gift for organ donation, and all the hospitals.
If I may interrupt you, Kyla's being rather modest. I had the privilege several years ago, along with my wife Ileana Trevino, and some very dear friends, Marty and Kelly Cohen-Fine. We co-chaired the dinner for the Living Bank. They, of course, promote education and organ donation, and who would know that 6 years later I would be the beneficiary of an organ donation. And so this year, my wife and 2 daughters are co-chairing the gala again, and they're honoring Kayla and Nora's Home because of the work that they do. So in a way, it's full circle for us. And the first time I went to my support group meeting last February, it was a delightful experience. We go around the room and identify ourselves and say when we had our transplant. And the first person that spoke said he'd had a liver transplant 16 years ago, and I slapped the table and I said, hooray.
Amen.
If he's gone 16 years, I certainly want to be one of those. Yeah. But our support group meets once a month, and a couple of months ago we went to Nora's home and fed the people who are living there. So in a way, it's a way to demonstrate to people that there is life after transplant. Mm-hmm. But the critical point is we need to make sure that people know about organ donation. We need to make sure that people know about deceased donations. We need to make sure people know about living donations. We need for people to understand the transplantation process. To that end, and given the observation about the collaborative efforts at the Texas Medical Center, as a support group is, there's also an initiative to try to get more people involved in organ donation and planning. And one of your board members out in the lobby was showing us their organ donation cards. Mm-hmm. It's important for people to know what that is. It's important to dispel myths about what organ donation is. And with the growing population, demographic trends in this city and others throughout the United States, Hispanics constitute a very large segment and growing segment of the population. So it's important for us to reach out to all these populations, to encourage them, one, to understand what organ donation is. It's life. It's the gift of life. And it's important for us to educate them, to dispel myths, and to establish, if you will, facilities where people understand the cultural relevance, not just the language access, but the cultural accessibility of these facilities, to train caregivers, to train providers, to have a better understanding of that. So the Texas Medical Center is leading an effort to organize discussions around that topic, so that we can help educate people to the end of including more people in this transplantation.
So what's the largest myth that you could most readily dispel?
I've had the benefit, and Kayla, that you may as well. I would sit in clinic after my transplant, and we'd go. At first, you go twice a week, and then once a week, and then once every 2 weeks, and I would sit with other transplant patients waiting to have our blood taken, and the metrics of that. And I was sitting next to a guy who actually is a friend, and I said, so he happens to be Muslim, and I said, so are you in the organ donation? And he says, I'm sorry to say that my son had come to me about a year ago and asked, Dad, I'm going to check the box on the driver's license that I want to be an organ donor. And I told him no. And my son asked me, why not? And he said, because we don't do that. And so that struck me, and I said, excuse me, is that something because it's a faith issue? Or is it a family issue? Or is it a personal belief? So we really don't know what drives those views. But it's important to be able to have a discussion, to have an understanding of why those views come about. If it's faith, I can't even begin to speculate as to what that might be. Some people may just be concerned that they can't live with one kidney, when indeed, as Kyla can attest to better, you can't live without a liver. You can't live without some other vital organs, but there are some organs that you can do without if you happen to have two of them. So not quite sure where that comes from, but it's important to be able to address those issues so that we better inform ourselves.
It's nice to have 2 eyes, 2 kidneys, 2 lungs, but you can live with just one. But the simplest way that people can become an organ donor is to fight through whatever fear they may have, or whatever science fiction movie may have scared them when Michael Crichton's movie Coma came out. Thinking, well, I'm going in to get some simple procedure, and I don't come back because they put me into the harvest wing of the hospital.
Science fiction. And
that science fiction thing, I think it permeates our culture to a certain extent. I debated this for years and years, and it's not a religious decision for me, but I finally did. It is
Thank you.
is the little The little heart in the corner of the driver's license mean yes.
It does.
It does, and it's so easy, and I'm very proud of Texas. When I had my transplant, there were only about 1 million registered in the state of Texas. We were, I think, the 46 at the bottom of the list. Through the efforts, the collaboration of the vehicle department and Life Gift, we are now at 8 million. Kevin Meyer, the CEO of Life Gift, and his team have done a fabulous job of raising awareness. And that is in a very short time. That's only been I think it will be 5 years that they've increased that much. So all you have to do is go to donatelife.org, register, or if you go get your driver's license, you look at the little heart. And usually when I give talks, the first thing I do is ask everyone to pull out their driver's license and thank those that do have the hearts. And I even got an email from an executive at an oil company I was giving a speech to, and he emailed me. He said, "I thought I was a donor. I thought I was. I looked and I had no heart. So thank you." So it's quite easy. The testimonials that we like, this is what we're doing now, is to share. Until you are in the position of a family member or yourself, and with organ failure, you probably can't appreciate what the gift of life. My daughter had a baby 2 years ago. I would not have been here to witness this beautiful creature. Michael's daughter was he can tell this story, but she just got married
last October, and candidly, it was doubtful that I would have even been able to walk her down the aisle.
Yeah.
So it's not just a gift; it really is a blessing.
It is.
But the idea is that blessings really aren't real unless you share them, and so I think it's important to do that. So that's why I think I'm very privileged to be on the board of Nora's Home, and delighted that you all would have an interest in having us as your guests. And you guys have fund drives. You ask people for donations to be able to do that. We do donations on all kinds of things, and I hope that your listeners will also donate to you to keep you, going and active, so that you can continue to provide the service to the community that you are.
You do a great job. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Michael Trevino and Kayla Lehman from Nora's Home. norashome.org. It's NORAS. home.org. It's 11 in front of 9. You're tuned to the Mighty 90 KPFT Pacifica Radio 90.1 FM in Houston, and we're going to step outside, check with Patrick, and see how the roadways are doing. Hope you're taking care of each other out there, and we'll be back in less than a minute. Stay with us.
Well, as we get through this week, we're all looking forward to the bonus Monday we get next week, February the 29th. And, of course, the fun almost never stops on the freeways. Today, inbound 225 Alameda to Noah, there is an accident in the left lane. Also, North Freeway inbound Shepherd downtown is still very slow due to multiple earlier incidences. I don't know what's up with Highway 6 this morning. It's been like 4 or 5 accidents on there this morning. This one just reported Highway 6 and Piping Rock that's down on the surface street, since Highway 6 isn't considered officially a freeway. And near the surface here where us monkeys live, the nitrogen oxygen was measured at 55 degrees just now. That's expected to rise to a very monkey-friendly 74 degrees this afternoon. No rain and sunny skies. In the Philippines today is People Power Day, a memorial to the nonviolent revolution that overthrew the dictatorship of Ferdinand Marcos and established democracy in that country. While in the United States today is Let's All Eat Right Today, but it's also Chocolate Covered Peanut Day, and it's also National Chili Day. And with those fun facts, we now continue KPFT's morning show, Open Journal, hosts Dwayne Bradley and Marlo Blue.
All right. Thanks, Patrick. It is 9 in front of 9, and you're tuned to the Mighty 90. This is KPFT, the Open Journal. I'm Dwayne Bradley.
And I'm Marlo Blue. And we're sitting here with Kayla Lehman and Michael Trevino from Nora's Home, and we are so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Well, so do you have any events coming up that our listeners would be interested in? How can they help?
We heard about a
you?
gala. He mentioned that you're being feted this
we
year.
are being feted. Yes, and it is I encourage your listeners to join us. We have a gala on Friday, May 6th at the Royal Sonesta. It's going to be a fun, exciting evening. The benefits, the money that we raise at this fun party goes directly to our Adopt a Family program. So at Nora's home, we charge $75 a night, and that's for up to 4 people. Now, for those of you familiar in the medical center, if you can find a hotel for $75 and you're immune suppressed, you probably don't want to stay there. There are few families that, very few, less than 5%, will come in and say, "Oh my goodness, this is a fantastic rate, meals, free shuttle." However, 95% of our patients cannot pay. So the Adopt a Family program funds the difference of our operating cost, the deficit. And Houston has been so generous, and we've been very lucky to meet that. With the oil climate, we will probably be... it'll be interesting, Gayla, but we feel certain that the tables have already come in, and we're excited about it. We also have a golf tournament in October that benefits our Adopt a Family, and that is sponsored by Satterfield and Ponticus. The other initiative and fundraising is the capital campaign. We're short about $1 million. And once we do that, we'll break ground hopefully this summer, and we can build, and hopefully by beginning of end of the year, we can start housing those on the waiting list.
Oh, that's wonderful, because I know you need that expansion so desperately.
Hugely. Yeah.
Talk about volunteer or opportunities. You were explaining to us a little bit about the Shepherd Day.
Yes. So we have many volunteer opportunities. You can go to norashome.org. Our most popular one right now is the Chef for a Day. It's a great team building experience for organizations and groups. We have St. Cecilia High School coming tomorrow, St. John's High School, Kincaid. We have schools, we have church groups, or just family members. Sometimes 2 or 3 can do it. It's a great opportunity to hear directly the testimonials from the patients. The other opportunities are just sign up for a chore for the day. We can always use someone at the front desk. Gardening, we do have someone that takes care of the yard, but it is on 3 acres. We always can use hands. And whatever your skill is, we're short of shelving right now. We're looking for someone that would raise money for our shelving and our laundry. We run a very lean machine. We only have 5 full-time, including the night manager. We're open 24/7.
And quickly, when is the donation symposium, the Hispanic Translation and Donation Symposium, going to be?
Yeah, it's being organized now, and it's under the umbrella of the Texas Medical Center. Of course, it's a collaborative effort with all of the health providers that are part of the medical center. It's being led primarily by Dr. Michael Baker from Memorial Hermann Transplant Center. They've got excellent physicians there, as well as at Methodist and others. The idea is something that Northwestern University in Chicago has kicked off. Mark was telling me that Dr. J.C. Caicedo from Northwestern has launched a similar initiative, and given the demographics of Chicago, even though we are very competitive, we'd like to be number 3 in the U.S. They're still number 3. We're trying to knock them off that perch, but at the same time, as we do that, we're going to try to knock them off the perch of being more effective at reaching out to the Hispanic demographic. In doing so, we'd like to be able to do the same.
Well, Houstonians are very generous. I think we can get there. Kayla Lehman, Michael Trevino, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
You can always go to norashome.org. That information will be on the kpft.org website under Open Journal at the end of this show. We do need to end it there, but thank you for joining us this morning. If you would like more information, if you would like to reach out to us, do it so at KPFT Houston on Facebook and at KPFT on Twitter. I'm Marlo Blue. Special thanks to Hedy Van Bakel, Christy Moffat, our engineer Patrick, and, of course, Rick Campbell for all they do. Tomorrow on Open Journal, Nick Sutcliffe of Mission Squash, an urban youth development program that combines academic coaching, squash training, and community service in one all-encompassing experience for students grades 6-12, is going to be joining us.
Mission Squash tomorrow. Okay, hey, stay tuned at 9 o'clock. Alternative Radio, our usual offering in the 9 o'clock hour on Thursdays with David Barsamian, is being preempted today for a special edition of the KPFT Local Station Board Bird report to the community. So stay tuned. Some members of the KPFT LSB will be in for the 9 o'clock hour. That follows the Bird Note, which concludes each and every Open Journal hour, Monday through Friday from 8 to 9. Thanks for your support. Thanks for being there, and thanks for making a difference in this community. We leave you on this day with a thought from the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" Take care of each other.
You've been listening to Open Journal, KPFT's experiment in community-inspired radio. Every weekday, 90.1 hosts interviews, music, and culture to inform, inspire, and illuminate your day. Our programming is made possible by listeners like you because KPFT depends on your donation to stay on the air. You can make a tax-deductible donation anytime securely at kpft.org. We welcome ideas for topics and guests as well as comments on today's program. So send us an email to openjournal@kpft.org or find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and elsewhere at KPFT Houston. Please stay with us for more great programming in the next hour and the rest of your day. You can also find our complete program schedule and membership information at kpft.org. Thank you for joining us this morning on commercial-free, listener-sponsored Pacifica Radio 90.1.
This is Birdnote. In the icy waters of Vermont's Lake Champlain, common goldeneyes are getting hot. Months before the woods here glow with migrating songbirds, these perky ducks are already engaged in courtship. One of the male's signature moves is the head throw kick. On the water, he thrusts his iridescent green-black head forward for a moment, then whips it back so that his nape touches his rump and his bill points skyward. Finally, he slings his head forward and makes a high, buzzy call while splashing water outward with his feet. This is a genuine turn-on for female goldeneyes. Most duck species court and form pair bonds in winter. Goldeneye pairs now bonding across the U.S. will migrate together in early spring toward breeding waters across Canada and Alaska. But he's a rambler. After she lays their eggs, the goldeneye male abandons his mate and parental duties. It's common conduct among ducks. Winter romance can be, well, cold and calculating. Today's show provided by Vermont writer and field naturalist Brian Pfeiffer. Check out his blog when you begin at birdnote.org.
Find our complete schedule